Hello, welcome to Divided Nexus Pet Stories YouTube channel. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy the video. This is the story of Gertie the Magical Cat. The neon skyline of Etheria pulses with the rhythm of a million heartbeats, a hidden dimension where the air is thick with the scent of ozone and ancient incantations. Here, in the High Plaza, the elite of the familiar world parade their powers, golden retrievers breathing sun, fire, and parakeets weaving tapestries of song. But beneath the shimmering surface, in the grit of the Shadow District, Gertie moves like a ghost. A disgraced whisper thief with a coat of cream and ears of dark chocolate, she doesn't just walk through shadows. She steps between them. Her paws barely touch the cobblestones as she manipulates the spectral thread, the glowing cyan ley lines that only she can see and bend to her will. Gertie is a relic of a forgotten discipline, a master of the invisible strings that bind Etheria together, while the Paw Council debates ethics in their ivory towers. Gertie is busy retrieving stolen charms for those the law has forgotten. Her sapphire eyes reflect the neon signs of the Blue Bowl and the Catnip Den, but her mind is elsewhere. She feels a tremor in the thread, a cold, hollow vibration that shouldn't exist. It is a dissonance in the symphony of the city, a void where magic used to flow like water. She pauses on a gargoyle overlooking the district, her enchanted bell silent against her chest. The city feels quieter. Not the peaceful quiet of a nap in a sunbeam, but a heavy, suffocating silence that tastes like iron and ash. The spectral thread beneath her paws is fraying, turning from a vibrant cyan to a sickly, translucent gray. Something is feeding on the soul of Etheria, and Gertie, the thief who hears what others ignore, is the first to notice the coming dark. The silence strikes with the force of a hurricane. In the heart of the Grand Arboretum, a majestic Great Dane, the Archmage of Solaris, is suddenly enveloped by thick, oily smoke that reeks of resentment. He bellows a roar of sunfire, but the flames turn into black soot mid-air. An entity emerges from the shadows, a towering nightmare of iron chains and shifting void known as the muzzle. With a gesture that defies geometry, the entity reaches into the Great Dane's chest and pulls out a glowing orb of pure light. The dog's eyes go dull, his posture slumping into a hollow, feral stance. He is no longer a mage. He is just a shell. Panic erupts across the plaza. The wise calicos of the healing circle attempt to cast a barrier, but their meows produce no sound, and their paws spark with nothing but static. The muzzle moves with a terrifying mechanical grace, its many-limbed form flickering like a corrupted hologram. The bond is a shackle. The entity whispers, a sound like grinding metal echoing directly in the minds of the panicked familiars. The humans take your loyalty and give you nothing but empty words. I give you the gift of indifference. Gertie watches from the rooftops, her fur standing on end. She sees her peers, the strongest among them, being reduced to mindless beasts in seconds. The magic of Etheria is being harvested, sucked into the void at the center of the muzzle's being. The entity is not just killing. It is erasing the very concept of the familiar human connection. Every orbit takes is a memory lost, a bond broken, a heart turned to stone. Gertie's heart hammers against her ribs as she races toward the sanctuary of the slow path. Her mentor, Barnaby, an ancient tortoise whose shell is inscribed with the history of the gateway between worlds, is in danger. She finds the sanctuary in ruins, the ancient scrolls scattered like autumn leaves in the center of the chamber. The muzzle looms over the tortoise, its shadowy tendrils coiling around Barnaby's weathered neck. The tortoise looks at Gertie, his eyes wide with a warning he cannot speak. The gateway. Barnaby's voice is a faint telepathic rasp in Gertie's mind. He seeks the key. The severance, save the humans. Gertie, save the heart. Before Gertie can leap into the fray, a blast of soundless energy throws her against the wall. The world spins, her vision blurring as she watches the muzzle vanish into a Terran reality, dragging the ancient tortoise with it. The sanctuary is left in a deafening, unnatural quiet. Gertie picks herself up, her chocolate point ears flattened. In rage, She finds a single scale from Barnaby's shell on the floor, glowing with a dying amber light. The muzzle didn't just take her mentor. It took the only anchor Etheria has to the human world. Without the tortoise, the gateway will collapse, and the pets of Earth will wake up tomorrow with no memory of their names or the families that love them. The stakes have shifted from survival to the preservation of love itself. The Shadow District is the only place left where the muzzle's influence hasn't fully taken root, mostly because the magic here is already jagged and illicit. Gertie retreats to her hideout, a converted clock tower filled with stolen artifacts and humming machinery. She isn't alone. Waiting for her is Fizzle, a Syrian hamster wearing a headset made of scrap wire and glowing crystals, and Brutus, a scarred mutt whose fur occasionally flickers with embers of pyrokinesis. They are the outcasts, the ones the Paw Council ignored. The grid is flatlining. Gertie, Fizzle squeaks, his tiny paws flying across a holographic map of the city. The muzzle has occupied the Claw Spire. He's using the city's central power core to broadcast the silencing wave. In 3 hours, the frequency will reach the gateway, and poof, no more belly rubs, no more good boys, just cold, hard void. Brutus growls, a small plume of flame escaping his nostrils. I ain't losing my human. He's the only one who ever shared a stake with me. Gertie lays out the plan. It's a suicide mission. They have to infiltrate the Claw Spire, the tallest needle of glass and magic in the city, now crawling with the muzzle's hollowed husks. She pulls out her secret weapon, the Bell of Resonating Truth. It was a gift from Barnaby, a relic of her Siamese lineage said to contain the cacophony spell, a sound so pure and chaotic it can shatter any silence. But to use it, Gertie must master a power her ancestors were exiled for. She must stop being a thief and start being a storm. The approach to the Claw Spire is a gauntlet of shadows. The once beautiful gardens surrounding the spire have turned into a graveyard of gray stone and wilting magic. Hordes of hollowed familiars, owls with empty eyes, and wolves that move like puppets patrol the perimeter. Fizzle uses a localized Impeldritch magnetic pulse to scramble their senses, creating a temporary blind spot in the muzzle's surveillance. Go, go, go. The hamster whispers over their shared psychic link. Gertie leads the way, her paws glowing with cyan energy as she walks on the vertical glass surface of the spire, defying gravity. Brutus follows below, leaving scorched paw prints on the pavement as he draws the attention of the hollowed guards. He's a whirlwind of flame and fury, keeping the enemies at bay while Gertie and Fizzle ascend. The air grows thinner, vibrating with the low, oppressive hum of the silencing wave. It feels like a weight on Gertie's chest, trying to snuff out the spark in her soul. As they reach the mid-level balcony, the muzzle's voice booms through the air, vibrating the very glass under. Gertie's claws. Why fight for a world that sees you as property? Join the silence. Be free of the burden of being loved. Gertie snarls, her blue eyes flashing. Love isn't a burden, you overgrown shadow. It's the only thing that makes the magic worth having. With a surge of spectral thread, she whips a strand of energy at the balcony door, shattering the lock and pulling her team inside the belly of the beast. Inside the Claw Spire, the laws of physics have been rewritten. The corridors are twisting labyrinths of liquid shadow and jagged iron. Fizzle's tech is struggling. His goggles are flickering with static. The interference is too high. I can't find the tortoise. He cries out. Gertie closes her eyes, tuning out the noise. She focuses on the amber scale she took from the sanctuary. It pulses like a heartbeat. This way, she commands, her voice steady despite the growing cold. They reach the central chamber, a massive dome filled with captured magic orbs, thousands of them swirling like trapped fireflies in a giant glass cylinder. In the center stands the muzzle, its form now massive, anchored to the spire's core by thick, pulsating cables of dark energy. Barnaby is suspended in a cage of iron thorns directly above the core. The muzzle is funneling the tortoise's life force into the severance beam, a pillar of black light, shooting straight up into the sky toward the human world. "You are too late," whisper Thief. The muzzle rumbles. The entity's eyes, hundreds of them opening all over its body, focus on Gertie. The frequency is set. In moments, every pet on Earth will look at their human and see only a stranger. The age of indifference begins now. The chamber erupts as the muzzle's shadow tendrils lash out, striking like whips. Brutus leaps forward, a wall of fire erupting to protect Gertie, but even his flames are being dimmed by the sheer power of the void. The battle is a symphony of light and shadow. Brutus is a blur of orange and red, colliding with the muzzle's shadowy constructs. Fizzle is darting through the air in his custom-built drone, firing bolts of blue electricity to disrupt the cables anchored to the core. But the muzzle is an ancient force, and for every shadow they burn away, two more take its place. Gertie realizes they can't win a war of attrition. She has to reach the core. She has to use the bell. She sprints across the chamber, jumping from one floating platform to another. The muzzle notices her intent and shifts its focus, sending a wave of absolute silence toward her. Gertie feels the air leave her lungs. She tries to summon the spectral thread, but the lines are gone. She's falling, the ground rushing up to meet her in the soundless void. Just as she's about to hit the floor, a blast of warm air catches her. It's Brutus, using the last of his energy to create a thermal updraft. "Do it, Gertie," he bellows, his fire fading to a dim ember. Gertie reaches the base of the core. She pulls the enchanted bell from her collar. It's small, silver, and seemingly insignificant against the towering darkness of the muzzle. She remembers Barnaby's lessons that the loudest sound isn't a shout, but the truth. She thinks of the children on Earth, the elderly who only have their cats for company, the dogs waiting by doors for their people to come home. She channels all that love, all that connection into the bell. It begins to glow with a blinding, iridescent light. Enough! Gertie screams, but her voice is unheard in the silence. She rings the bell. At first, there is nothing. Then a ripple. A single, pure note pierces the void, vibrating at a frequency that makes the iron thorns around Barnaby's cage shatter. The muzzle recoils, its shadowy form flickering violently. The cacophony spell isn't just a noise. It's a memory. It's the sound of a purr, the jingle of a collar, the whistle of a bird, and the laughter of a child, all layered into a single, devastating harmonic resonance. The silence is broken. The orbs of magic in the cylinder begin to vibrate in sympathy with the bell. They break free, thousands of streaks of light flying across the chamber like shooting stars. They don't just return to the animals. They strike the muzzle, each one a needle of pure connection piercing the entity's armor of resentment. The muzzle shrieks a sound of true pain as its form begins to dissolve into the very magic it tried to destroy. You cannot stop the cold. The muzzle gasps, its eyes closing one by one. Gertie stands her ground, the bell ringing louder and louder, her tan coat glowing with an aura of pure spectral light. "The cold is just the absence of us," she retorts. With a final, thunderous peal of the bell, the muzzle is pulled into the core of the spire, the void imploding on itself and releasing a shockwave of golden energy that sweeps across the entire city of Etheria. The golden wave rolls over the city, and the silence is replaced by the beautiful, chaotic noise of life. In the streets below, the hollowed husks blink their eyes as the light returns to them. The Great Dane in the plaza stands tall, his sun fire reigniting with more brilliance than ever before. In the claw spire, Barnaby descends gently to the floor as his cage vanishes. He looks at Gertie, a proud, slow smile spreading across his ancient face. "You found the frequency, little thief," he says, his voice a warm rumble. Fizzle and Brutus join them, battered but grinning. Brutus's fur is smoking, but his eyes are bright with the reflection of the restored magic. The severance beam has vanished, replaced by a bridge of pure, shimmering light that connects Etheria to the human world more strongly than ever. On Earth, for a brief moment, every pet stops what they are doing and looks toward the horizon, feeling a sudden, inexplicable surge of warmth and devotion. Gertie looks at the bell of resonating. Truth, now silent once more. Her Siamese ancestors were exiled for this power because the council feared the chaos of emotion. But as she looks at her team, the tech-obsessed hamster and the stray mutt, she realizes that chaos is exactly what keeps the world alive. Perfection is silent, but life is loud, messy, and full of song. Etheria is no longer just a hiding place. It is a beacon. The High Plaza is packed for the victory celebration, but Gertie is nowhere to be found. She's back in the Shadow District, sitting on her favorite gargoyle. The city is louder, now more vibrant, but the spectral thread is still her secret to keep. She watches as the sun sets over the neon skyline, the cyan lines of magic hum happily. Beneath her paws, she is no longer the disgraced whisper thief. She is the guardian of the cord, though only a few know her name. Barnaby finds her there, his shell glowing softly in the twilight. The council wants to offer you a seat, Gertie. They've realized that the shadows have their uses. Gertie scoffs, licking a chocolate point. Paw and smoothing her fur. A seat? And spend my days listening to parakeets argue about tax codes? No thanks, Barnaby. I prefer the view from up here. Besides, someone has to keep an eye on the threads. The muzzle was just one shadow. There will be others. As the first stars appear in the Etherean sky, Gertie hears a faint, familiar sound, the sound of a can opener echoing from the human dimension through the gateway. She smiles, her blue eyes twinkling with mischief. She leaps from the gargoyle, disappearing into a fold of the spectral thread. There's a world to protect, artifacts to recover, and somewhere on Earth, a bowl of premium tuna waiting for a hero. The silence is over, and the story of the Whisper Thief has only just begun. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and until next time, stay super.